Good morning. I am so glad to be here with Jay. And yes, we have a missing Jay this morning. I am Tony Miles, and this is the segment of the Good Morning Show called Hidden Gems of the Ocoee region. And I am absolutely excited about today. But I am going to say, and you know what, Jay?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you still haven't wished me a happy birthday.
Not on TV.
And yesterday was my birthday.
That's right. So
And
for all of you out there,
yes,
you need to, if you see Tony Miles, you need to wish her a happy birthday because she was not here yesterday on the show, but it was her birthday. So if you didn't know, now you know. So
now you know. So you know I believe in celebrating the whole birthday month.
that's right.
So this is the month of June, the 6th month, and I am on the first day. So that tells you,
That's right.
how important I am.
That's right.
And I tell you what, yesterday, again, I just want to thank everybody that sent me flowers, texts, email, messengers, words of encouragement, words of prophecy. Oh my God, it was just a blessed day. And one of the persons that sent me one of the most heartfelt shout out is my girl who is sitting here today, this awesome gem who is not hidden, but I believe that the Ocoee region doesn't know her as well as I do and some other people around the Florida region. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Sheila Cornea. She is my friend. She is been my mentor. She is my mentor. She is wife. She's mother. She's gammy. I can go on, author, pastor. I can go on. And she is a woman with her own consulting business. Yes, amen. And guess what, women? It is focused on us and helping us to become the best that we can be in all areas of our life. So I guess I done told her whole story already. But she's going to tell us more. She's going to put the meat on that framework. So welcome. I want you to help me welcome Dr. Sheila Cornea.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I want to say happy birthday first and foremost. That was a heartfelt message that I posted because you are a gem, and no one can find you in hiding. You're out there everywhere. You're not a hidden gem, that's for sure. But you are a gem, and I don't know. I don't know if I mentor you or you mentor me, but I think we co-mentor together, maybe.
It's all right. It's good.
But iron sharpens iron, doesn't
Yes.
it? So.
Yes.
So I am, you mentioned Florida. I'm a little
Yes.
bit more known in Florida maybe because I lived so long there.
Yes.
So I've been here in our area for about 7 years.
Okay. Is it
going on
7? I was thinking 6, so 7. Wow.
Formerly, we've owned a home here for 6, but I
Okay.
commuted for a good year.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So I've been here about that long, and I love it. We love it here. My husband allowed us to transport ourselves here after he was born and raised in the same small town.
Wow.
And we came here to work in ministry together and ended up helping to plant a church and do
Yes.
some really unexpected things with that. So,
Yes. And you can say the church.
yes, Dwelling Place Church. I know you talk about it all the time on here, so it's not news to
No.
everybody that's watching. But we did come here actually to help Pastor Judy Jacobs Tuttle in the Institute of Mentoring.
Yes.
And then they later started the church, and we've helped with that and still attend there too. So we love the Cleveland area. Sometimes I'll ask my husband, are you sure all your family's there, all your roots are there? Are you sure you're still happy here? And I'm never moving back to hot, steamy Florida. He loves the weather. We love the seasons, and our kids moved here.
That's what I was
So,
getting ready to say.
The only way we're going to move is if we're following them. So they are wonderful blessings from the Lord, and we have 3
Yes.
grandkids that we love to spend time with and love to see growing in a really strong community that loves values of
Yes.
the family. You know,
Yes.
that's why we love them being raised here. It's because everyone here is so kind in this area. Everybody's just so kind.
Yes.
And the morals are still really strong. And that's what we're all about as a family. So,
Well, you know, it's one of these places where you hear, yes, ma'am, thank you.
right.
And I realized coming from Ohio, I would turn around.
Right.
And that's what I love. You hit it right on the head about this place. It's kindness and respect.
Yes.
That these values are still here, and that these things are so needed today,
Yes.
especially in this climate
Especially
today.
today. Yeah.
Yes.
It is a change from the Central Florida area now. I love the diversity of Central Florida when I
Yeah.
go back and see all the colorful people
Yes.
and the colorful personalities and the wonderful diversity in food. I love all that. But we really have found a home here, and we intend to stay. It's a wonderful community. But I spent my whole adulthood in Central Florida. Before that, I was reared in the South, as the way the Southerners say it. We are
Okay.
reared, not raised.
Are you a
And
Southern
I
belle?
am a Southern belle. I was raised in North Carolina, South Carolina, Missouri. My dad was Marine, and
Okay.
so we traveled a little bit. We didn't get to do a lot of international travel with him, although he did that travel. But my mom was a quasi-single mom while we were very young because he was often off in war. And so she raised the three of us girls. I'm the middle child of three girls.
Whoa.
And I would say I'm the unlikely leader in the group. Being the middle child, I was painfully introverted and shy as a child.
You know I have a hard time believing that.
I know you don't know that I'm faking it right now being expressive, but I do love people, and I've always loved people, but I was very self-conscious and very inward in my thinking and feeling, and so that, along with a lot of other family dynamics and life experiences, I just kept going more and more inward and becoming more and more self-conscious until I was a teenager. And a youth pastor, I think, was the first person that probably looked at me and saw leadership potential
Wow.
and invited me to assist him with the youth group. And eventually, I became the youth director. I often pray for forgiveness for how I must have misled those poor children. I don't know how much wisdom you can have when you're 18, but I know a lot of 18-year-olds now that have a lot more wisdom than I did probably when I was 18. But he saw eagerness and potential in me and pushed me. And once I started leading in the church, I was hooked.
But can I tell you something? And this is something when my history when I worked for the YMCA in Cincinnati, and we were leading a lot of youth, middle school to high school, and I call it college preparatory.
Right.
And but one of the things when they had we had a leadership component, and I noticed they kept picking out all the extroverts.
Right.
And I finally had to pull the group together and say, every one of these kids are leaders.
Right.
And I really don't like segmenting this out and then we're picking who these leaders are. So we flipped the script. It became a component that they all have to go through.
Yeah.
And we saw so many kids, especially the ones that were quiet and introverted, because everyone started saying, okay, we've got to pull this out of this person,
Right.
And we saw that. I'm so glad you brought that up, because we still do that.
Yes.
If you're flamboyant and out there, that's leadership.
Right. Right. I define leadership as intentionally using your influence. I like to say to do good.
Yeah.
I
love
so
that.
all of us have some circle, and we can influence that circle.
That's right.
And it doesn't have to be in a loud way. Sometimes it's in a very quiet way, but we can still be an influencer. And so we're leading those people that are following us. Moms lead their families, dads lead their families. We lead in churches, we lead in civic organizations, we lead in community. It doesn't always have to be a title that you have in your job.
Right.
Just because you're not a CEO doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to lead.
That's right.
And so I just am thankful that someone allowed me to start serving in a leadership role. And then, what I loved, I think, about it the most was it gave me an opportunity to do exactly what you were saying, see potential in people that didn't really know they had that potential. They had either allowed someone else to put a lid on them, or they put the cap on themselves and just didn't know there was more that they could experience or more that they could offer. And so that's what I love about leadership, is it's really just helping other people move toward a common goal together in a positive way, and do that by being themselves and being their best selves. So
I love
that's
that.
all fun.
And you're also doing that right now, imparting a lot of your wisdom as at Lee University.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Okay,
Because
so
I got to give them a shout out.
absolutely, yes. Lee University is a wonderful Christian liberal arts university, and I serve there as the director for the Center for Calling and Career. So a lot of colleges and universities, we call this career services.
Right.
But this tells you how Lee University thinks about it, because they've named it the Center for Calling and Career.
Yes.
Because it really is, the way that we all look at it is it's a joining between what you're passionate about, what God created you to do and be, and hopefully matching that with a career.
Love
and what you're going to major in and what you're going to study to prepare you, so that you have an integrated life, and not you go to work and do one thing, but you're really love and passionate about something else.
Right.
But helping them find a way to merge those two things together as early in life as they can. Now, we've all had seasons where we had to take that starter job that maybe wasn't our dream job, and so we help them understand that too, that your first step is definitely not going to be your final step.
Right.
But let's get on the right path.
Yes.
And so that's what I get to do all day, is talk to young people about what God called them to do. We use Clifton Strengths,
Oh, wow.
Strengths Finder.
You know I love the Strength Finder.
I do too. And so I'm a coach, a certified coach for Clifton Strengths.
Yeah.
And we have a team. And the faculty there is so wonderful because they volunteer. We have a dozen faculty and staff that, if they're not busy enough already doing everything else they're doing as professors and advising students academically, they come into our department and donate an hour of their time to sit with students one-on-one
I love
and
it.
coach them on their strengths and what their top 5 strengths are and how they can use those in the future work that they'll be doing, and even in building their relationships where they are right now at the
Yes.
university. So it's really a privilege to be able to serve there and to get in these fun conversations with students about their dreams and visions for life, and giving them a little bit of encouragement that they can do the most difficult thing, because sometimes I think even in the seasons of life that we're in, we have the choice between the comfortable thing
Yes.
and the more challenging, difficult
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
And it's a hard decision sometimes. So sometimes we need to nudge them a little bit toward that more challenging thing where they can also find more fulfillment. So it's fun. It's a fun place to be.
Oh, and I love the fact that Lee has this, and because I get to work we have a lot of Lee volunteers at the Caring Place.
Yes.
And not only the students, but a lot of the Lee professors and stuff are very engaged there. The Leonard Center is a great partner. Sodexo, who is a partner with Lee, and I can go on and on. And so I just love every opportunity that I can plug Lee University. I just want to say that. But I want to tell something else about you that most people don't know about.
Okay.
And,
you know me well, so you're making me a little nervous now. I don't know what you're going to tell. You could be telling a lot of things.
Hey, I got your
don't know.
back, girl.
Okay.
I got your back, but I'm going to talk about you, the author.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
is that all right?
We can go there, yeah.
I am so excited. When I first met Dr. Sheila, one of her books when I found out she was an author, it was the 100 most important Bible verses for leaders. And I remember when I got this book, it was here at an IIOM.
Okay.
I think it was an intensive,
Probably.
and I won't go into that. And I got this book, and I remember taking it back, and I was with the Y in Cincinnati, and I remember devouring this book. And that's where I think for me it hit me that, God owns it all.
Yes.
And so whether you are in the church or whether you are in the marketplace, it's all about his principles.
Absolutely.
And we got to use them. And that's why I love
Yes.
this book.
Yeah.
And I made sure that all of our students, this is something she didn't know, that a lot of our students, we gave these away to our
Aw,
seniors as
great.
graduation
Wonderful.
gifts.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
And so, but I'd like for you to talk about this book. And you also have a second book, Most Important Bible Passages for Mothers.
Yes.
Again, mothers are leaders,
Yes.
influencing. And I have this book. And it has blessed me as a mother and as a daughter.
Yeah.
You can look at it from a reverse view. And so, but I wanted people to talk about, to hear your why over this book and your why over this book.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. So the Leaders book, both of these projects were actually brought to me. Somewhat, a publisher at Thomas Nelson came to me and wanted me to write these books. I had met the gentleman at a conference and had talked about wanting to do a leadership book. And I had thrown out some ideas, and they kind of matched up some of his ideas. And, you have those times where people say, okay, well, I'll give you a call.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was just being nice. So a few months later, he actually did give me a call.
Wow.
And so we worked out the concept for the book. And my goal was really to give bite-sized encouragement to leaders.
I love your bite size.
Bite size is important because we're busy.
Yes.
We're busy especially in today's culture. And that was written a few years ago. But, I was a busy leader at the time. And, I'm not one of those that can take the big, heavy devotionals and spend an hour in the morning just reading the devotional. And, I need something quick. Let's get to it.
Yes.
Give me a scripture, give me some meaning, and let me reflect on it. And so that's what I wanted to do. So the book is like that. It's very short, and it leaves you with a takeaway, something that you can think about today or actually implement today, because I really think we should be doers of the word and not just hearers.
Amen.
And so that's why it has those takeaways. But the whole idea behind the Leaders book is really to encourage leaders to stay in the game, not to get so weary that you give up or that you turn into that leader no one wants to work with. We don't want crabby leaders. We want servant leaders that are gracious. And so I know for me that encouragement and inspiration comes from my personal faith. Mm-hmm. And that comes from the inspiration of the scriptures, sacred scriptures, and prayer and meditation on really what my why is and what my purpose is every day.
Yes.
So that's what's behind the Leaders book.
Well, I love this book. I just flipped and it came to a page, and it's commit your work to the Lord, and then your plans will succeed, based on Proverbs 16:3. And it's just funny how I just opened it up and it just went right there.
Yeah.
And I just love this book. And they are still available on Amazon, right?
You can find them on Amazon, and they're range in price from $10 to $20. Anywhere you can find them. And then the Mom's book is now that one was a bit more labor intensive for me. 365 is quite a bit bigger than 100.
That's a lot of days.
Yes. And that book also was in partnership with the same gentleman. He came and said, strangely enough, we had talked about doing a book for teens.
Okay.
And we got into it and started even developing the book for teens, which I was really eager to do. And he came back and said, we think we should flip this and make it for the moms. And so, at that time in my life, I'm not technically a mom. I'm a stepmom.
Okay.
Okay. So I like to say I'm not a mom, but I have a daughter. because
But you're a
I
mom.
haven't had the blessing of
Birthing.
actually having, by natural birth or
Right.
adoption, having my own child. But I love my stepdaughter more than I can even imagine loving any other little human. She has been my stepdaughter since she was 4.
Yes.
So, I just can't imagine her not being in my life and not being someone that I love.
Right.
And so this book was a little, strange for me, really, because I'm like, I don't know, can I write this? And it was a little therapeutic maybe for me to even write it, to see, how we can influence even when we're not maybe the mom we want to be or the mother we think we should be. And I know, now my daughter now has 3 kids.
Yes.
And so she's a great mom, but some days she doesn't feel like she is, But she is every day. I think she is a great mom. But sometimes you do get busy and you get caught up in life, and so many moms now are working outside of the
Yes.
home and have to. It's not always by choice. It's by necessity oftentimes. Sometimes it is by choice, and they love the work they do.
Yes.
And, I know when my daughter was growing up and she lived in our home, and so I was caring for her as if she was my own. But, I worked outside of the home her whole childhood, too, because I wanted to, not because I
Yes.
had to, but
Yes.
I love the work I do. And so this book is an encouragement to mothers, hopefully to remind them of how important they are and to take care of themselves, and that most of what we're doing isn't going to be seen tomorrow. It's going to be seen in 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted other moms like me that felt like they were falling short sometimes to remember that perfection is not really what we're going for. We're going for influence and significance
Yes.
and legacy.
Yes.
And so sometimes those things don't show up as quickly as we'd like to. When your child is 12 or 13 and acting like an alien,
Yes.
you need a book like this to help you fight the battle in a softer, loving way. So that's what that book is about. So I hope it is a blessing to moms and encourages them to know really what their value is to their families.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I don't think I've ever shared it, but I remember when I got this copy of this book, it was during a time that, as a mom, I was really going through because of a tragic incident that my daughter was involved in. And I don't know if mothers out there has had to negotiate something like that or navigate something like that. But you are really questioning yourself as a mother. And so I found so much encouragement
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
to my heart.
Yeah. Don't make me have an Oprah moment here. You're gonna make me cry. Don't do that, because I know your story. So
Yeah, I know you know my
I'm
story,
glad
but
that
it brought
was-
me through
I'm
some
glad it helped you in your
really
journey.
dark
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
It brought me through and gave me strength, and because guilt can eat at you.
It can, and even in the small things,
Yes.
I've heard moms, younger moms that are in a hurry to get to work, and they, I heard one recently talk about her struggle of she just hated sending her kids to school and they have to eat school lunch.
Right.
Now, in our community, it's such a blessing, so
Right.
many of our schools offer this, free lunch and free
Yes.
breakfast. It's a blessing to those families.
Yes.
But she was feeling guilt around that she wasn't, packing the sandwiches with
Yes.
a smiley face written on the little
Yes.
baggie and, a nice little cupcake and a piece of fruit. And she was feeling some guilt around that. But, you have to pick the things that are most important in a day.
Yes.
Whether it's in motherhood or church leadership or as an entrepreneur, you have to pick your priorities and what's going to have the most lasting impact.
Yes.
And sometimes it is packing the lunch with a little love note tucked in, but sometimes it's making sure you have enough time to just have a conversation with them before they start their day.
Yes.
And that might be more important than packing a perfect lunch.
That is so important you said that, because I, at the caring place, see so many moms who are single moms, and they're trying to make all ends meet.
Yeah.
And as a culture, sometimes we our response to them is such a way that they're not good mothers.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The school system wants to say you're not engaged because I can't get to the school
Right.
for teachers'
Right.
meetings.
Yeah.
Well, you have them
Yeah.
at the time I have to be
Yeah.
at work.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I am engaged.
Yeah.
I am engaged. I'm
Yeah.
keeping a roof over my daughter's or
Yeah.
my child or my children's head. I'm, working to keep food on the table.
Right.
So I'm very much engaged into my children. So for you to make a judgment because
Right.
I don't make this
Right.
meeting.
Yeah.
And so there's some mothers feel guilty about that,
Right. Yeah.
And that's just one example. And so,
And I want to stop and give a shout out to the men too.
yeah.
Okay, because
yeah,
we're
that's
talking.
good.
We got off on this talking about the mom's book.
Yeah.
But my son-in-law was actually a single dad,
That's right.
and he raised his son. And this is how we knew we loved him. Okay, so my daughter went through her own experience of marriage and divorce, and our family went through it with
Yes.
her. And God sent this young man along to sweep her off her feet,
He
later,
did.
after God had healed her heart and really did some real work in their own little family, as a single family. And so our son-in-law comes along, and when we find out he's a single dad, so I want to know his story. I want to know, why is he single? What does single dad mean? Does it mean he sees his son once every 3 months, or what does that really mean? Well, I come to find out he's raised his baby
Yes.
since he was just 8 months old, I think.
Yes.
He was a single dad.
Yes.
And by single, I mean full-time, 24/7
Yes.
dad with no outside help other than immediate family that would pitch in and babysit and do those kinds of things. And so for 6 years, he's raised this baby by himself. So we fell in love with him. That tells me
Yes.
all kinds of things about him. So I don't want the dads to be left out if they're
No,
watching
and
too,
I'm
because
glad
there
you-
are single dads out there too that are part-time dads and full-time dads, just like they're part-time. You're never really a part-time dad. You're a full-time dad.
Yes.
But maybe you have responsibilities show up less often than every day.
Yes.
But that doesn't make their influence any less meaningful, and it doesn't make their legacy any less impactful.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I should have said single parent because I also have single dad stories
Yes.
from the
I
caring
bet you
place.
do. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
he just flashed in my head, and his two little girls just flashed in,
Yeah.
and he is juggling this even
Yeah.
to the point he ended up turning down a great job for his career
Mm.
because it would not allow him
To be the dad.
to be the dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm glad you
yeah.
did that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, parenthood is leadership and parenthood, I think, have a lot of parallels.
Yes.
Because you can't do leadership alone and you can't do parenting alone. I
Right.
really don't think. Even, you may identify as a single parent, but you really aren't hopefully doing it alone.
No.
Hopefully, as a leader or as a parent, we're pulling other people together and building a strong support group around us.
Yes.
Whether it's a biological support group, a paid support group, or a volunteer one, then we really want to make sure we're building that community around us.
Yes. Well, you and I can go on this.
I know we can.
On and
I know
on,
we
but it
can.
still ties in.
Yes.
So what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a commercial, okay?
Okay.
And we're going to come back. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Gutsy Grace leaders.
Perfect.
Okay? So, Ocoee region, please come back. We'll be right back in just a moment.
The Restore has kept over 3,250 tons of materials out of our local landfill since 2004. This has extended the life of the landfill and saved Bradley County taxpayers a tremendous amount of money.
The Restore opens up endless possibilities to turn trash into treasure through do-it-yourself repurposing of Restore items. It's fun to repurpose, restore, and recycle items that would otherwise be trashed.
Since about 2004, Mankind has been on a quest to discover the best tasting craft beer in existence. Well, you can probably find one you like at Mashin' Hops in downtown Cleveland, Tennessee. Choose from a vast selection of IPAs, stouts, pilsners, lagers, and much more. It's a cool and fun atmosphere to have a drink with friends. There's also a constantly changing tap selection. Mashin' Hops also carries growlers, as well as other merchandise. Located at 168 1st Street Northeast, Cleveland, Tennessee 37311. Phone 423-667-9245.
Welcome to A1 Surplus Kitchen and Bath Design, where we offer plenty of options to build or redesign your home's kitchen and bathroom. Check out our flooring selection featuring 100% waterproof luxury vinyl plank with a 25-year residential warranty. We offer new construction and replacement windows, specialty casements, awnings, and Bower Bay windows with 11 different exterior colors. Browse our countertop choices such as Formica, granite, quartz, Decton, and more. At A1 Surplus, we create a unique design for your kitchen and bathroom, so call A1 Surplus today or stop by our showroom. Welcome to A1.
Cleveland Housing Authority's mission is to provide affordable, safe, and sanitary housing opportunities. Visit www.clevelandhousingauthority.com or call us 423-479-9659.
My name is Bill Kyle, owner of Kyle Motors.
Hey, I'm Tony Sissom, manager of Kyle Motors.
Our location is 802 20th Street Southeast, next door to Blythebauer School.
Hey, cars, trucks, SUVs, whatever you need, we'll get it. If we don't have it, we'll get it. Come by and tell us what you need. Hey, we not only sell cars for credit, we sell cars for cash. Hey, come by and take a look at it. Hey, this is the home of the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 car. I guarantee you'll find something you like.
My name is Bill Kyle. We look forward to doing business with you.
This is Steve Ray, and this is my place, the Midnight Oil Service at Michelin Tire Direct in Ottawa. What do? Let me tell you. We sell tires, we service cars, we have gasoline, even gasoline without ethanol. And around here, I am the Michelin Man. Remember that local service station in your neighborhood when you were a kid? That's us. We've been here 35 years. We put the service back in the gas station. Steve Ray's Midnight Oil Service and Michelin Tire Direct in the heart of Ottawa.
First, I want to thank you all for volunteering to help Habitat for Humanity build a house. Your participation means so much. We couldn't do this without you. So, any questions? Come on, don't be shy. No such thing as a silly question, guys.
Donate and purchase from the Habitat Restore. That helps build houses.
No, you don't need to be able to hold a hammer. Anyone else?
What's my favorite thing about the Fun RAV4? Has great handling. It's street cleaning day.
I got it.
2 is always better than 1.
Woo!
With Toyota Express Maintenance, you'll have 2 technicians servicing your Toyota at the same time. That means less waiting, so you can get back to doing what you'd rather be doing. Schedule your appointment now at your local Toyota Express Maintenance Service Center.
Are you in the market to purchase a new home or build your own?
Is it time to refinance your current home loan? Want to talk face-to-face with a local lender about the options available to you? If you answered yes, then it's time to contact the financial professionals at Andrew Johnson Bank. Stop by today to speak with one of our mortgage specialists and see if you qualify for one of our many home loan options and low interest rates. Andrew Johnson Bank, the local lender you need, the local bank you can trust.
Welcome back, Ocoee region. If you were with me earlier, you know I'm talking with Dr. Sheila Cornea, no longer a hidden gem to us. But we have been talking about her as a mother, as a grandmother. We've been talking about her being an author of some great leadership books, and we've been talking about leadership just in general, and parenthood, and also a definition of leaders in that we're all leaders, in that you are influencing, whether it's a small group, 2 people, or 100 people, we are all leaders. And so, but we're going to take a deeper dive right now, and I'm excited about this. But before I go there, let me tell y'all something right now. I'm not going to disrespect my girl, Dr. Sheila Cornea, but I call her Doc. And she prefers that. This is why I love this woman so much. She is so humble. But she thinks that Dr. Sheila is so formal. And so I'm going to switch to calling her Doc for the continuation of this interview. So, okay, Doc.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Now, you know I love, and I don't even, I'm just going to say the title. I don't want to define it. I want you to share it with the audience today. But I love Gutsy Grace Leaders. And this is your ministry.
It is.
And it has influenced me. It has helped me. It has helped me to grow as a leader, but as a person, period. But you go ahead, you take this and tell the Ocoee region about Gutsy Grace Leaders.
Okay. Well, I love what you said, because if we're not growing as a person, we're probably not growing as a leader. Mm-hmm. Being a leader is really bringing who you are to what you do, right?
Yes.
And so I started this whole Gutsy Grace leadership thing back in 2004.
Yes.
And it really was out of a moment of searching for help. And I was a leader at the time. I was leading a school, a private Christian school. And I was working at back then, it was one of the first mega churches. It was over 3,000 people, and wow. I was leading the school. And by some strange but not random setup, they had also given me the church nursery. Which, if you want to grow as a leader, be in charge of the church nursery.
Yes,
that'll stretch you in ways you never thought you'd be stretched. But for really good reason, they had combined that, because we also had a daycare and they shared facilities, and that was often a point of contention in the facility. Yes. Was the dual use, and so we put it all under the school somehow. And so I was on the church staff but led the school ministry, and I was the only girl around the big table.
Ooh,
now,
yes.
This was a great church, still is a great church, and had great leaders. I learned so much from them. But this was back, there weren't a lot of women in leadership positions within that denomination. And I was not a pastor on staff. I was a director more.
Yes.
And so it was kind of pioneering in 2 different ways at that church. One was having a female around that leadership meeting every Tuesday morning. The dozen people around the table, they weren't used to having the girl in the room.
Yes.
And then secondly, I also wasn't a pastor. And so that was a little different, because I think all of them were in a pastoral role,
Yes.
but it was an equitable position, different title kind of a thing. And so we all learned through that, and we were growing through that, and, negotiating new ways of thinking about how we handled things like the leadership retreat, and for example, we had the first leadership retreat I went on, and this church still is highly values leadership growth and personal growth for their leaders and keeping them strong.
Yes.
So they do an annual retreat. We went on this retreat, and they had for years always had morning devotions where the pastors and leaders would go in one room and do their devotions, and the pastors' wives would go in the other room and do their devotion, which worked out wonderfully. And then the pastors' wives would, instead of being in meetings all day, go on excursions. Well, the challenge with me was when we get there, I'm like, which one do I
Which
go
group?
to the women's group or do I go to the men's group, because it's awkward.
Yes.
Which one? I really should be going to the men's one, but so we had a conversation about, like, where do you want me to go? And I'm not going on the excursions with them. I don't get to go to the spa day. I have to go to the meetings, right?
Right.
And my husband does not want to join the ladies for the spa day.
And
right?
I know Keith.
He's
No.
not up for the spa day.
He is
and so he's not doing that. So it was a really awkward transition. We worked it out. We got it all figured out. It
Right.
worked well. But they were growing along with me. They didn't know what to do with me either. And some of their traditional elements that were in place didn't fit anymore. And so we had to figure out how to make them fit as they grow. Now they have many women around the table, much more diverse, and a lot of different people working in different roles. But at that time, there wasn't a female on staff that had been there to kind of show me the ropes.
Right.
And it wasn't always appropriate for one of the male pastors. They might say to another male pastor, hey, let's discuss it over coffee. Let's go over to Starbucks. Well, it wasn't always appropriate for them to do that with me one-on-one.
Yes.
It's not.
Yes.
I think in the corporate world, it's maybe a little bit more acceptable, but in the church world, you just don't do, a guy take a lady to coffee to discuss church business. It's just not done. And so that kind of left me out of some things. Or if they took a half-day golf day, they didn't think to invite me. Now, frankly, I wasn't going to learn golf just to go hang out with them, I know some people do that, and kudos to them, but I'm not athletic. And I don't like to be out in the hot sun and sweat. So that wasn't my thing, right? So they probably didn't want to go antiquing with me either, and that's okay.
Yes.
But we had to figure out other ways to communicate. But I sat down one day out of frustration and really desperation of wanting to find a mentor or some encouragement. There has to be someone else that's not considered competition. I couldn't call my friend who was in the local other private Christian school and talk about challenges I was having in my school, because that would be completely inappropriate. And so, or even challenges I was having, as we were talking about before, in that life balance, life integration thing. And so that journey just led me to finding that there are so many other people like me out there that are struggling with bringing themselves authentically, who they are best at work, and wearing who they are well. And the name Gutsy Grace came from a scripture. That's often a question I get. Where did you get that name?
Yes.
And it comes from the scripture that encourages us to be strong in the grace that's found in Jesus and in Christ Jesus, which I don't want to break down too much biblically here, but Christ Jesus meaning the resurrected Christ.
Yes.
And so if you really study that out, it's talking about being courageous in that kind of powerful love.
Yes.
And all that entails. And I think that's where we sometimes, as women especially, I would say maybe even as new leaders, or when we are promoted to new positions and we feel like we have to prove ourselves in some way, or society has given us this image of what a female leader should look like or act like. And, for so many years it was that hard, driven, wear the whole suit, the power suit, yes, and, be a certain way, and don't let them run over you, and don't be a doormat, and, use your authority, and all those things are true. I don't want to be a doormat. I do want to use my authority. But I think figuring out what your own makeup is, and how you present yourself to the world, and how you use that power, and that power isn't always loud.
Nope.
And so how God created you to serve the world is what you need to wear.
Yes.
Not what society tells us we need to do. And so that's really, for me, what I found was vulnerability is a great factor in that. Because we have to be vulnerable enough to let the real us shine through.
Yes.
And that's risk. That's a risk to take. No matter if we're male or female or a new leader or a seasoned leader, oftentimes we, if we feel like we're struggling, if we bring it back into, am I really being true to myself here?
Yes.
Not true to selfish ambition, but true to how I was created as a person. So I like to say that, I use an acronym TAGS.
Yes.
That we each kind of have our own identity tag that God has given to us, and that is talents that we have. Talents, some people are just born good singers. They didn't try. They just sing as children and do it well. Or they're great storytellers. Or they have athletic ability. They're just born with these talents, right? Talents, abilities that we have learned. We're not born knowing how to use a computer, but we can learn how to use a computer, right?
Yes.
We can develop technical skills. And then gifts, like spiritual gifts. If we are very high in mercy, or we have administration inclinations, we can do that well, or other kinds of spiritual gifts. And then strengths. As we talked about earlier, I'm all about the Clifton Strengths Finder, but whether it's a formal Clifton Strengths Finder strength, or just what we're good at, which we're just naturally good at doing, the way we think, the way we process information, the way we communicate with other people, we have all of those things. And so when I was younger, I kind of thought that God created me, and then for some reason I felt like he had to figure out what to do with me, right? He's created me in this sort of way, being kind of introverted and shy but highly relational, deeply sensitive but tough.
Yes.
And I've got this what seems to me to be a weird mix of skills and abilities and career interest, and he probably has to figure out what to do with me. Somehow I think that it surprised God that I was born, and then he had to figure out what to do with me. And I think we think that way sometimes. Maybe not consciously that we've thought of it, but it dawned on me one day that I had it all backwards. God planned me because he had work that had to be done.
Amen.
And so then he planned me, and he created me to do the work that was already planned for me to do.
Right.
And when I had that revelation, it freed me to really try to find out how did God create me? I always wanted to be the extrovert. I always wanted to be the sanguine in the room, the happy person with the woo and everybody, the life of the party. And I tried to be that sometimes, because I felt like I had to do that, as a leader. I had to work the room.
Work the room.
Right? But I was so uncomfortable doing that, and I felt fake. And other people, I'm sure, could perceive that I wasn't good at it. Right?
Yes.
Well, now I can work the room, but I do it in a different way. I don't try to be someone I'm not. I'm much better, I've learned, just connecting one-on-one with people. And where my sister can flit around the room and meet 100 people and remember their names, and they all love her. Yes. That's not me. My goal is to meet 3 people and befriend them, and that I'm good with that. So what I learned to do as a young leader was pull other people. We were talking about that community and that support. So pull other people in that had a gifting to do that I couldn't do, and allow them to do that.
Yes.
And encourage them to do that. And then we worked in tandem together. And so I think Gutsy Grace Leaders is all about that, like figuring out who you are and how you can best serve the world. And
I love that.
finding all of those ways that I think that's where it all starts, is that self-awareness and self-leadership. And, I'm an assessment junkie. Give me any assessment for personality, thought patterns, behaviors. I'm going to take it because I want to learn about myself.
Yes.
And I want to learn how other people see me too.
Yes.
So that's kind of the first stage, I would say, in great leadership, is really having a strong awareness of who you are and what your strengths are. Because, again, society tells us to be aware of our weaknesses and improve them so that we can fit. But if you take a square peg and a round hole, and you keep
Doesn't work.
trying to twist it, eventually
It'll get in there. but-
Eventually, you can twist that square wooden peg enough to where you can make it fit. But honestly, it's going to be really painful and noisy in the process, and it's not going to feel real good on either side, right?
Right.
So that's what I think is the first step in being a Gutsy Grace leader, is having the courage to be yourself and be vulnerable in the world so that you can really serve people well.
That really, that's why we just connected so well, because I'm all about helping people and organizations to connect to their authentic purpose.
Yes.
It's the original intent
Yes.
of God.
Right.
And anything that you do before you know who you are in God, or know who, in terms of what he spoke over you before the foundation of this earth, is pretty much what I say, counterfeit, because you're operating
Yes.
illegally.
Yes.
Because, and I love what you said right there, is when you quit trying to be something that he did not, he shaped you for a purpose.
Right.
And he gifted you for a purpose. And you had to embrace that, that his way, and not what you thought, or not what the world was trying to tell you to be.
Right.
And that's what we have to dust off.
Yes.
Yes. And you need a mentor, and you need people who can see what you can't see.
Yes.
That is in you.
To just ask you the question. And that's where my frustration
Yes.
was coming from, because I was trying to do it the way I saw other great school principals do it.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the same makeup that I did. And so they could do naturally very great at what they were doing, but I wasn't doing it naturally. And I was doing it, and actually I was having success in doing it that way.
Yeah, you can be successful.
The right way.
Right.
But it was frustrating me, and it was wearing me down, and I was becoming weary. And because the fun was gone.
Yes.
And we have to have joy in serving. We have to have joy in leading. Otherwise, we do lose our flavor a bit.
Yes.
And so we have to do those things that are going to keep us in our sweet spot, so to speak, knowing what we're good at and staying in that zone. And I really think that the more we can understand who we are and how we best work, the more open we are to seeing how other people work and value their differences.
Yes.
And not judge their differences, but value what they bring, which is going to be very different than what we may bring.
Yes.
But together, if we work together in partnership, then we can do more good together. And so that's the next step beyond understanding yourself, is really starting to understand other people and building that strong team, which is where I see a lot of leaders maybe not fail, but not necessarily thrive.
Right.
Where we're pulling together a group of people and calling them a team, but we're not necessarily all working together synergistically, moving in the same direction, and having fun while doing it.
Yes.
And so there are a lot of ways that we can build our teams and help our teams to function better. And when they function better, we function better. When we function better, they function better. It's a partnership.
Well, I don't want us to get away from making sure that people understand all that you offer So let's get into, because I have been a participant in your workshops. You have coached me one-on-one. You have, and some people out here will understand you do masterminds. And I just want to start, making a connection that with Gutsy Grace, it's you even have a community.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those
Well,
things.
I started the community for these reasons, because it is sometimes hard to, if you are the leader in your organization, then you don't always have another, let's say, collateral leader that you can just go to lunch with, talk about the issues of the day, build one another up. Sometimes, especially in small organizations, whether it's a small church, a ministry, a business, entrepreneurs for sure struggle with this, of having someone else to just bounce ideas around and have that encouragement for encouragement.
Yes.
And so we started a community online.
Yes.
Because sometimes some of my best friends are in a whole different state and I've never met them.
Yes.
But online is a mutual spot where we can find community and we can share best practices. We can ask one another questions like, I'm dealing with this and I don't really know how to do it. Has anyone done it before? And we can connect and build each other up. And so we have the community, and we have, I think we're over 150 ladies that are in that community now, and it's really a leadership community for ladies. And you can join, any lady that's in leadership and wants to grow can join that community. It's completely free, and they can go to gutsygraceleaders.com/community and join right up. It's a Facebook group, but it's a private group.
Yes.
So that's one of the things
and
that we
it's
do.
a safe place.
It is a safe place, and that's what we need. It's a safe place. It's in a positive environment too. It's not a bunch of just whining and problem sharing.
Right.
It really is, hey, I read this verse today and it really encouraged me, or this is something I tried and it didn't work, but who has a better idea? And these generous ladies will chime in and say, oh, I've done that before and this is the tool I use to get it done.
Yes.
Or maybe you could use this team activity next time. And so it really is mutually encouraging. It's a positive community. So that's one of my favorite things that I get to do, is hang out in that community and do some group coaching in that community. But I do also right now have a mastermind group going, and again, it's an online group, and so we have ladies from various states that are a part of that, and that's a little bit, it's a smaller group, and so we have about 8 ladies in there, and every other week we meet online and we share what our goals are. It's a kind of an accountability group along with an encouragement group. And each month we have a focus on building whatever it is that is our thing. And so in that group we have an entrepreneur that's in health and wellness. We have a nonprofit leader that's building a nonprofit. We have a pastor of a church in there. So it's a broad mix of ladies that are in that mastermind group. And I love that group because it sharpens me too. It keeps me on task. I'm right there in there with them, sharing my goals too. And we do offer some courses. I'm actually building a course community that will hopefully be ready later in the fall for people to join to get that training. At heart, I'm a teacher and an encourager. And so just teaching the nuts and bolts of some things will be the focus of that membership community. And there's a wait list at the website. If someone wants to join, they can do that.
Say the website one more time.
GutsyGraceLeaders.com.
Yes.
And there's also a lot of free resources on there. Right now, one of the favorite things that I really want to make sure that your viewers get to jump in on is the 5 simple steps to getting more done in less time. Because isn't that what we all want to do?
Yes.
We want to make a greater impact. We want to get more done faster. And so there's 5 little steps that I take you through, and each step then also has some takeaways and some downloadable free resources for you too. It's completely free. So you are welcome to take advantage of that. Anybody?
Well, everybody's got to take that free offer. I'm telling you, I have just been so blessed by you and everything that you have poured into me. in terms of being better as a leader, but overall better as a person. And I just remember even just, the goal setting and the why behind it, mission development and vision development. I can keep going on and on, and how you and I have tweaked our visions and our missions together.
Yes, we have.
And, with the help of God and the Holy Ghost guiding us. But, something happened to me this year because I had so many things on my plate. And you and I were talking about this, and you were, I took one of your courses where we were dealing with goals again. And you know what? I consider myself really good at setting goals and setting them right and doing the why behind the goal and all of that. But it was something this time where we really focused on what was the momentous goal. Yeah. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because it set me free. Oh, okay? And there's a lot of things that I need to get done, and they will get done, but they cannot happen until I accomplish my momentous goal, which is financial freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, and that becomes your catalyst.
Yes.
It pushes, it's like the domino effect. So if you can get that one thing going strong, then it's like the thump that hits the first domino, and then everything else will start to either go away as a need because it takes care of itself.
Come on.
Or it enables you to do the other things you need to do. So as you said, for you, maybe it's financial freedom. For a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids, it might be 15 minutes of self-care in the mornings before she starts her day.
Right.
Or at the end of the day. That if she is doing that, then her day's going to go better. Yes. And so it's different things for all of us. We have to, and I say you need to look at that quarterly, every quarter, because if you're advancing in your goals, then your priorities are going to shift. Yes. I mean, I used to be one that taught have the 5-year goal, the 3-year goal, the 1-year goal, dear
me
Lord.
too.
I mean, it's all about the goal setting. But at some point, I realized that it's got to be less about the goal setting and more about the goal getting and actually getting the stuff done. Yes. And now, we've talked about the strengths. My 2 top strengths that I live in all of the time are strategic and relator. Yes. So, I can think myself to death. I love to think. I can just sit around and think and daydream. As a child, I got most in trouble for daydreaming. And as my mom called it in the South, lollygagging around daydreaming. And, now I love to daydream. Give me, in fact, I have one of the services I offer is a Borrow My Brain session.
Because I love that title.
Often what people say is, can you just help me think through this? Mm-hmm. That's like my superpower. I can help you think through any kind of thing for a strategy. And if I could just do that all day long, I'd be a happy clam. But, I actually have to get some of those things done. I can't just sit and think about them and write them down. Then I have to execute them. And so you have to pull into what's going to help you get those things done. And I've found that domino effect really works. If I can focus on that one thing this quarter or this month even, and the most of what I'm doing is centered around that one thing, even as an organization, this works. So if let's say you're a church pastor and you really are looking toward Easter and you know that you need to get, your goal is to get as many unsaved people in a relationship with their Creator. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's your whole goal. So then that becomes the priority and everything else becomes secondary. So then when you start your day, you're thinking, what do I have on my schedule today that's going to enable me to see this goal happen, to see that we have these people here? So then you break it down into other parts. And, I could go on and break all that down, but I won't do that here. But that's what we're talking about is looking at, okay, if that's in the forefront, most pastors want to see their churches grow. Yes. They need their giving to grow so they can do more. They need the finances to come in. But if they did that one thing where they helped unsaved people know their Creator, then they're probably going to come back to church, and they're probably going to integrate in the ministries of the church, and they're probably going to start donating because they value the ministries of the church,
And
right?
then they're going to bring people with
They're
them
going to
because
bring other
they've
people
been
with them.
blessed.
And then it's going to grow some more,
Yes.
right? And so sometimes we look at the result we want, but we have to back up and look at the catalyst that's going to push us toward that.
Yes.
In a more comfortable way. We can't prioritize everything. We
on.
just can't.
Can't.
And so, in fact, the word priority itself is supposed to be single. Minded, right? Priority. And
Priority.
if you have multiple
That's it.
priorities, it's an oxymoron,
Moron.
right? It doesn't.
But we
really-
all
you can't
been
have
living
multiple-
like that.
Right, we do. So even in my own goal setting or my own life planning, I divide my life into categories.
Yes.
And so I call it facets because if you look at a beautiful gem and you hold it in the light, it's one gem, but it has a lot of different facets to it, right? And so for me, fortitude is one of them. And fortitude includes my emotional health, spiritual health, mental health. Am I learning anything? Am I growing? Am I taking care of my health? That's all fortitude, becoming stronger as a person.
Yes.
And then family
Yes.
is next for me. And I'm one of those people that love my work so much that if I don't schedule in family time, it might not happen.
Yeah.
I'm not proud to say that, but it's the honest to God
But
truth.
we have to be truthful
I have to
about
be truthful about it, right? I have to be truthful about it. I love my family dearly, but I love my work too. And
Yeah.
sometimes I can get distracted with my work.
Yeah.
And so I write into my calendar family
Yes.
function. I make sure that we plan for family stuff because all of my family's busy too.
Yeah.
So they struggle with the same thing. So family's another one. And then friendships and fellowship is one. And so getting to lunch with you,
Yep.
that's a priority. So you'll be on my calendar, right?
yes.
Remembering that yesterday was your birthday
Yes.
is on my calendar. That's how I remembered to send you a love note because you're important to me. And so I want that in my calendar because I
Yes.
don't want to get to the weekend and go, oh, I forgot her birthday again, right?
Yeah.
Which I used to do a lot. And so I used to buy a lot of belated birthday cards. Thank God for Facebook. It reminds us too now. So
Yes,
that's
it
helpful.
does.
But so that's the next thing is friendships and really building that emotional support group and spiritual support group and community. And then I call it field of service and field of work. Because for some of us, our field of service is our field of work. Sometimes it's two different things. And so for me, I have a job that I go to every day at Lee University, and that's my field of work. And so I have goals for that. And then I have a field of service, which is what I call my Gutsy Grace Leader stuff, is how I'm serving the world. And it's my passion project. But then you're involved in so many organizations, civic organizations and community organizations that are doing good. And so my church has its own category.
Yes.
Right? So every single week I don't do something for my church maybe, but it's still on my radar.
Yes.
So I can look back and track and see, okay, this event's coming up. So if that big event that if Life Clinic is coming up that
Come
you're
on.
leading and I want to help you in that, then I'm going to make sure that's on my calendar so I can build that week around it and not overschedule myself. I think that is one of our culture's biggest problems today is we're overscheduling ourselves. We're overscheduling our children. We're overscheduling our families. We're overscheduling ourselves. And it's not always healthy. And so I found this is a way to keep me in balance. Whenever I have to confront that every day, it's in my planner. It's across the top of my planner, these different categories of life. And every day I have to confront that and say, where are my priorities today? And have I met my priorities for my family this week? And if not, then by Friday, I need to be shifting some things so that I'm meeting those priorities. Because it is not always about getting things done or becoming richer. Sometimes becoming richer is not monetary, but we don't think about it that way.
Yes.
But maybe, the season of life I'm in, it has taught me some things. When we're younger, when we're, say, 20-something, it looks like we have the world is getting bigger for us. It's like the landscape is getting bigger and bigger. But when you're edging toward, for me now, 50, then the world seems like it's getting smaller and the landscape is getting more narrow. And I see okay, what if I only have 35 years left? I've already used up 2/3 of my life. What what are my grandchildren going to say about me? What is the legacy I'm leaving? What have I done that is still living?
Right.
What have I planted that is still fruitful?
Right.
And what am I going to plant now? And I think I started too late with that revelation, and I want to help other people understand their value of their legacy much younger and not get bogged down and worn out. I mean, I've gotten myself worn out a few times, and we can talk about that maybe some other time about my health crisis that led me to finding more integration in my life.
Yes.
Because I did wear myself out. I really did. And in that season where I was worn out, I probably wasn't a great leader, honestly. I wasn't a kind leader, I'm sure, because I was in survival mode.
Yes.
And when we're in survival mode, it's all about getting the stuff done today that I need to do so I can just live. And it's not about being gracious and serving the world. And so, I learned the hard way. And I want to rescue other people from learning the hard way. Let's just do it the easy way, right?
I love that. Yeah. And you are rescuing.
No, I hope
you
so.
Are.
I
You
hope so.
are.
It's what
You
I'm
are.
called to do. So.
Because I know I was on that road of burning myself out. Okay? But through our relationship and through Gutsy Grace and taking those courses and learning, I am living authentically. I am living with balance.
Yeah.
And there is an integration of all the things that are important for me to live whole.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And to me, that's, I'm just wrapping up what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And this is what it's all about,
Yes.
And this is how we best serve our Creator, our God.
Yeah.
And because we are now connected to back to Genesis 1, 26, 27, 28, now we can multiply and subdue and do what He's called us to do.
Yeah, and with more ease and
Yes.
more enjoyment.
Yes.
And, connecting with
With
other
love.
people. That's what it's all about.
Well,
We're
with
here.
love.
Right.
It's it's the love that loves, not the love that hurts.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Yes.
And so that is just a revelation in itself. And I love what you do. And I wanted people here in the Ocoee region to connect with you and the work that God has called you to do. And those women out there that are out there, get in this Gutsy Grace community, because I can tell you, you will be transformed. You will be empowered to be you. You can't find a better group of women that will cheer you on.
Yeah.
You can't find a better mentor or coach or whatever you want to call a sister, girlfriend,
Right.
to come alongside of you and inspire you on your journey, because it is a journey.
It is a journey.
And we need support systems
we
in
do.
every facet of our lives and wherever we are in each season.
Every day shouldn't be a struggle, and we
No.
shouldn't be doing it alone.
No.
We don't have to be lonely. As leaders, we don't have to be lonely. There's a community. So,
Yeah.
I'd love for the ladies to join the community and, again, get those 5 simple steps, because it'll help you really get more done in less time. And if you have a church group or organization group and you want me to come in and help you get it going, I'd be glad to do that.
I was going to
love
say
to do that.
As you can see, Dr. Sheila Cornea, you can contact her. Be great to bring her in as a workshop. Women ministries out here, mission groups that I know about. You need to contact her at 423-380-8292 or at GutsyGraceLeaders.com. And you can email her directly, Sheila at GutsyGraceLeaders.com.
Yep.
I thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me. And we can talk for hours about
Yes,
this
we
kind of stuff,
can.
can't we? The
Yeah,
two of us together. So
Yes.
I've enjoyed talking to you, and happy birthday.
Well, thank you so much, and I love you. Hey, Ocoee region, you know what? That's a wrap. I am done for this first Friday in June. I will be back the third Friday in June. I want to thank you for joining me today and also joining Jay for the Good Morning Show on WTNB. Have a great day.